When you look at Nepal, a nation with such incredible potential, you see a story of opportunity held hostage. It's a country caught in a relentless cycle of political turmoil, and its entire economic future now hangs on whether it can finally break free. So, in mid-2024, something interesting happens. A new grand coalition takes power, made up of former bitter rivals, all promising to finally end the chaos. But this brings us to the crucial question, the one that's going to define Nepal's path. Is this a real breakthrough, a genuine shot at stability, or is it just the latest move in a very long political game? To really understand what's at stake, we first have to get a feel for the sheer speed of Nepal's political churn. It's like a carousel that never stops spinning, and this last year has been particularly wild. I mean, just look at this timeline. In March, Prime Minister Dahal puts together one government. By July, just a few months later, it's already collapsed, and his main rivals have formed a new one, putting KP Sharma Oli back in the Prime Minister's chair for the fourth time. These aren't just minor cabinet shuffles, they're complete realignments of power happening in the blink of an eye. And here's the kicker, this isn't some rare event. This is the system. So why does this keep happening? Well, the root of all this chaos is actually baked right into the political structure. The way the electoral system is designed, it creates these fragmented parliaments where it's almost impossible for a single party to win a majority. This forces them into a constant, exhausting cycle of building coalitions and then watching them fall apart. And let's be honest, these deals are rarely about ideology or policy. They're almost always driven by the personal ambitions of a few key leaders jockeying for power. So, how does all this political drama actually affect the lives and livelihoods of the 30 million people in Nepal? Well, it essentially puts the entire economy on pause. At first glance, the numbers might look okay. You've got institutions like the World Bank and the Asian Development Bank forecasting respectable GDP growth, mainly because tourism and hydropower are picking up. But these headline figures, they're masking a much deeper, much more troubling reality on the ground. And this is where you see the huge disconnect between the official story and daily life. The government can point to record low inflation, but for the average person, that number is meaningless. They're in the middle of a severe cost of living crisis. So what explains this paradox? Analysts are calling it a policy-induced economic downturn. Demand is so weak, with industries running at just 30 to 40% capacity, that it's artificially pushing prices down. That low inflation isn't a sign of a healthy economy. It's a symptom of stagnation. And the human cost of this stagnation is just staggering. Youth unemployment is over 20%. With so few opportunities at home, more than 2,000 young people are forced to leave the country every single day just to find work. This kind of massive brain drain is a colossal loss for a nation that desperately needs its next generation. Okay, so now let's connect the dots directly. Let's look at the specific ways this political infighting completely paralyzes the economy. The voice of the private sector is crystal clear on this. They are exhausted. I mean, how can you possibly plan, invest, or hire new people when the legal framework, the tax laws, and the government policies can just change overnight with every new coalition? This unpredictability is absolute poison for economic activity. This chart right here is maybe the best barometer of investor confidence you'll find. Foreign investors see Nepal's potential. Just look at that huge spike in investment commitments. But when it's time to actually wire the money, they pull back. That massive gap between what's promised and what's delivered shows that while everyone recognizes the opportunity, the political risk is just seen as being too high. And this paralysis is everywhere you look. The national budget process gets held hostage by political squabbles. Hydropower, which should be Nepal's greatest economic asset, is crippled by constant policy flip-flops. Take the Budi Gandaki project. It was awarded to China, then to India, then taken back by Nepal. It's a perfect example of the chaos. And when you add in the geopolitical tug-of-war between Delhi and Beijing, you end up with a perfect storm of uncertainty. Now, despite this pretty bleak picture, there is a clear consensus on what needs to be done. The path forward is actually well-defined. It's just proving to be politically difficult to walk down. The World Bank lays out 4 key pillars for reform. First, manage migration better. help those returning workers use their skills and capital back home. Second, boost exports by fixing infrastructure and simplifying the tax rules. Third, and this is the big one, create a stable legal framework to finally unlock the country's immense hydropower potential. And fourth, get the digital sector moving faster with updated laws and better digital education. So the roadmap is there, but can this new grand coalition actually follow it? Let's be realistic about its prospects. The reality is, even with a big majority in parliament, this alliance is incredibly fragile. The leaders disagree on fundamental issues, everything from constitutional amendments to foreign policy. The exact same personality clashes that have torn apart previous governments are already simmering just beneath the surface of this one. So the bottom line for both businesses and citizens is that the forecast really hasn't changed. Businesses are still facing uncertainty and frozen projects. Citizens are still facing bleak job prospects and a continued exodus of their youth. Until real, lasting political stability is achieved, the economic aspirations of the entire nation are just going to remain on hold. And this brings us right back to our central question. Nepal is at a critical juncture. Its vast potential is undeniable, but it remains trapped. Is this grand coalition a genuine attempt to finally break the cycle and build a prosperous future? Or is it simply the quiet before an even more destructive political storm? The answer, whatever it is, will determine the fate of the nation.